Hello, fellow social distancers, and welcome to Quaran-Stream, the show where Entertainment Weekly staff gets together online to chat about what we're currently streaming from home. I'm senior TV editor Gerrad Hall, and joining me today are digital news writers Christian Holub and Nick Romano, and staff writer Devan Coggan. How are you all doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good, yeah.
Here on the show, we talk a lot about the times we find ourselves at home during this pandemic and how we're doing our part to social distance by catching up on things like TV and movies and music. But for all you gamers out there, quarantine has been the perfect time to log in those hours of your favorite video games. There have been some major releases just in the past month, so it's never been a better time to pick up that controller. Devan, what virtual world have you been playing around in while your real one has been confined to your apartment?
Well, I have been stuck on the video game that I think is sort of the perfect game for social distancing. It is sort of the game of the moment, which is Animal Crossing's New Horizons on the Switch, it came out sort of right as everyone was starting to social distance, and it is a delight. It is just, when the world is so terrible and scary outside, there is something so wonderful about logging onto my little virtual island and catching fish and catching bugs and befriending my neighbors and going outside virtually. And so it is just the perfect game. You can spend hours in it, or you can just log on for a couple minutes a day, and it is just it's soothing. It's so relaxing. It is exactly like the nice kind of calming Zen experience I needed right now.
I've actually heard a lot of people say that about that game in particular because, it's been so easy for people to get anxious and anxiety, kind of mounting and building.
Couldn't have had more perfect timing, right? It came out basically right as, I think work from home kind of went into effect for a lot of us on a Thursday in March, and then Animal Crossing came out literally the next day.
Yeah,
it's right. It's like when this was coming out, I had already planned to spend my entire weekend inside, not leaving my house. So just quarantine made it official.
So Devan, I have to ask you, have you been hopping on that trend of recreating movie scenes in Animal Crossing?
I have not yet, but I have seen, God, the content online has been so good. I've seen people recreate Ariana Grande music videos. People have been recreating Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
I saw that one.
There's just been so I love games like that where they just really encourage your creativity and just let you try whatever.
Christian, you've been playing something that feels very apropos to what's currently happening in the world. Tell us about that one, and why was this your choice?
Yeah. So, not as timely as Animal Crossing, which we just said just came out, but I have been spending a lot of quarantine downtime playing Civilization 6, which is a turn-by-turn kind of strategy game. I would say maybe it's a little bit like Animal Crossing, except instead of trying to build up your own little house on your own little island, you're trying to conquer the world as a some kind of world historical empire. It first came out in 2016 for PC, and that's where I first played it. But recently it's come out for Switch as well, which I know that Switch has, not just Animal Crossing, but Switch has kind of become, I think, the emblematic console of quarantine. Just because it's fun and it's, maybe more casual gamers had it. But this game is a great fit for Switch. And it's also a great fit for quarantine because games take a really long time. You start in the ancient... you can do all kinds of, customizations or whatever, but you start in the ancient era with, bronze axe and, farming tools or whatever. And you can go through kind of the whole history of civilization as it's happened in our world, the classical era, the medieval era, the Renaissance era, and so on.
Strategy games are super important right now to keep the brain alert and not becoming numb to the mundane in our apartments and our homes right now. So yeah, that is super important. All right, stay tuned, Corn Streamers. We'll be right back to hit continue on the show in just a moment. Hey, welcome back to Quaran-Stream. Today we're putting down the remote and picking up the controller as we take a look at some of the games we've been playing from the safety of our couches. Now, Nick, for you, once you realized you'd be spending a lot of time at home. What game did you decide to tackle first?
Well, I did not go the nice, lighthearted route by any means, like Animal Crossing. Um, but I did go to one of my all-time favorite video games, and quite frankly, it's one of my all-time favorite fantasy sagas. That is with a hard period exclamation point of all time. And it's the Dishonored series. I love it because it's so rich. It's such a fully realized steampunk industrial world. Um, and it really allows you to escape in it. And it's also super complex. Over the course of 3 games and a couple of DLCs, the saga just keeps expanding. And it's, like I said, it's super steampunk. It's kind of dark. There's a subplot involving a rat pandemic. So it's kind of
Oh,
parallels to
I
current
love
reality.
escapism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But really, it's all about justice versus revenge and how power, whether it's political power, or in the case of our hero slash anti-hero, supernatural power plays into all of that. The first game, you play as Corvo, who's the bodyguard to the Empress of Dunwall, which is this big whale oil city.
Love
And
these names.
right? That's the best part about fantasy.
Corvo
These
also sounds like it could be the nickname for coronavirus, but anyway.
maybe it's too reflective of our modern times. But you are the bodyguard to an empress. You witness her assassination. You get framed for the assassination. And then it's your mission to figure out who the real perpetrators are and either bring them to justice or kill them. And in the midst of all this, there is an entity called the Outsider, who is just such a delicious character. He's sort of like these Greek gods in Homer's Odyssey and the Iliad, in that he likes to meddle, but his main goal is to just kind of sit back and watch what humanity does. So he gives you all these powers, and then he just goes, go nuts. And you can either be a dick and kill everybody, or you can go the more valiant route and be really sneaky and, not claim as many lives. And I find the more powers that I acquire in the game, the more reckless I am with them. So maybe
I was
kill a
about
lot
to
more
ask which
people.
route you go. All right. So you guys, for a lot of people who aren't gamers, now really is the perfect time to get into them. But I could see how this world would be maybe intimidating, a little overwhelming for a lot of newcomers. So if you had to recommend a good starting point for someone who wants to get into gaming, what's their best option? Nick, I'll start with you and the others can jump in.
Well, I mean, I kind of jumping off what Christian mentioned earlier. I think Nintendo Switch has just been the all access for non quote unquote gamers. It's just become such a pop culture moment currently. On the other hand, Nintendo Switches are virtually sold out. They're kind of like toilet paper in this current economy. So in that case, I mean, if you already have an Xbox or a PlayStation, there's Xbox Game Pass. There's PlayStation Plus. These are sort of digital subscriptions that you can purchase month to month. And they have a whole array of games that kind of come with those subscriptions, both classic and up and coming.
Christian, Devin, a starting point for you to recommend?
If you happen to have a Switch and you don't have this game yet, but you're looking for something to do, I would recommend the latest Fire Emblem game, because it's a mix of a lot of different things. Like, there's there's kind of strategy, fantasy, role-playing, Battlefield gameplay. That's definitely a part of it, and if you like that stuff, you should definitely get it, but that only ends up being about, like, half of the game time. Like, the other half is, dialogue options and building dialogue and relationships among different characters, and kind of most plainly of all, teaching students in this fictional, magic sword and sorcery academy as if you're like a Hogwarts professor. And, just on a last note, it's the kind of game that like teaches you how to play it as you're playing it. So I think that's, that can be helpful for people who are like, oh, games. Where do I start?
Right. That's perfect. Thanks, Christian. And we start with you, Devin. We'll end with you. How about what's your recommendation?
Something that I really love because it's available across a lot of different platforms, whether that's you can play it on your iPhone, on your PS4, on your computer, on your Switch, whatever, is Stardew Valley, which holds a very good place in my heart. Basically, it's a very simple, very story-based game game where basically you are a character and you inherited a farm in a very quaint little valley when your grandfather passed away, and you just learn how to be a farmer and befriend all the local villagers and learn how to catch fish and till soil and go explore the local valley. So it's very calm and very, very pleasant, and it has a really rich, deep, wonderful story, and it's something that I think is a really good, if you're like a nerd and you want to like devote hours and hours and hours to it, you can do that. But also if you're just sort of more casual and just want to play it on your phone or whatever, that's also an option, which is why it's sort of a game for everyone, which makes it a great recommendation.
Gotcha. Love it. You guys, those are awesome, great recommendations. Thank you. I want to thank Christian, Nick, and Devin, and I thank all of you for joining. Be sure to tune in next time when we have a whole new category of things to stream for you. For Entertainment Weekly's Quaran-Stream, I'm Gerrad Hall. Stay safe and stay inside.